welcome everybody to the bonus stage of the Star Chaser Central podcast. I'm Stik Braxton.
And I'm Mike D. Jackson.
And this is just, like I said, it's just a bonus stage, a kind of extra episode, if you will, to kind of wrap up 2023. And what a year it's been, man. What a year it's been.
It has definitely been a year. Ups, downs, all arounds, loop-de-loops, whatever you want to call it. It's going, it's about to be gone, and 2024 is coming.
It is, man. Yeah, this will be the year that we can always say Star Chaser Central was established, EST 2023. Um, yeah, I feel like this was a good time to kind of just check in and try to, especially since we just hit 10 episodes, um, kind of just check in and kind of get the people kind of behind the scenes of how this started and maybe why we started. And yeah, I thought it'd be a cool thing to do.
Of course, I like the idea, man.
It was your
So,
idea, so
well, no wonder. Hey, sometimes I've had some bad ones, but I think this is a good idea. So, all right. So, if you guys don't know, of course, we are the Star Chaser Central podcast. But for some of you, Star Chaser Central is not a new name. Not new at all. It's been around. If you guys were around during the Facebook days, there was two groups. There was the Star Chaser Lounge, Star Chaser Central. Shout out to Chris Baker, for starting the Star Chaser Lounge. But the lounge and the Central were both created to, house the fans of Charles Hamilton, like me and Stick and all of you guys listening. Even if you're a new listener, old listener, whatever. But at a certain point in time, I will say this, I'll keep it brief. The Star Chaser Central did get a little toxic. It's shut down now. The Facebook group is no more. And also, if you're not in the group, you would have never knew. But me and Stick had the idea of, hey, we need to put some more positivity back in the air, especially when it comes to Charles Hamilton. Because for some of you, you understand and know when you hear about Charles, it's, oh, the guy that did this, the guy that got this that happened to him, and that, and this. And it's like, nah, that's not what it's about. We need to make sure we're giving Charles his flowers while he's here. You feel me?
yeah, I feel like this kind of was an idea. Yeah, I wanted to do something Charles Hamilton related because I mean I've had you on my other podcast, Cluesino. Um, and that was kind of one of our shared things that we talked about was like Charles Hamilton, listening to Charles Hamilton music. And we had such a good episode. We had a good time just chatting back and forth. And I was like, I had always like played around with the idea of trying to get that going, but didn't know if there was an audience for it. But then this year, the Blog Era podcast came out. Shout out to those boys over there.
Yes, sir.
Putting that out, award winning, all types of things. And just the response and the reaction to that podcast, and then the response to that Charles Hampton episode in particular, kind of showed me that there are still Star Chasers out there, and there are still people out there who, you know, want to talk Charles Hampton overall and in a positive manner. Um, so you know, I reached out to Mike. Mike's never done a podcast, obviously, but he's done like my podcast episode, and he was really good at it. And so I was like, "Do you want to help me start this Star Chaser Central podcast?" Actually, he came up with the name, um, and he was like, "Yeah, let's get it." And then we just put out a plan, and 10 episodes in, we're here, and I couldn't be happier with the response it's gotten.
I'm happy we haven't got shut down yet.
Yeah, yeah.
I you guys, I know it's only 10 episodes, and sometimes I might come off as like negative or a downer, and it's not that. Reminder, like I said, if you guys seen and heard the type of stuff that used to get said in the old, Star Chaser Central, and how certain fans, went from, oh, Charles is the greatest to he's a loser, he's a goofy, he's whatever, and it's like, nah, he's not, man. It's sometimes fans come and go, and there's some people that just they fell out of favor and stopped being fans, and that's okay.
Mhm.
My thing is, I appreciate Stick for giving me the opportunity to actually do this, because like you said, my first time doing a podcast, period. I never had any intention of doing a podcast ever. It's funny because within the last 2 or 3 years, people said, hey man, you have a voice for I wouldn't say radio, maybe podcasting. I used to hear that too for like radio and stuff. But I was like, yeah, whatever, whatever. But I have maybe like, I told you, I had like 3 or 4 people. Yo, man, you ever think about doing podcasting? You ever thought about a podcast? And I'm like, I know I have the personality for it, but what would I talk about? You know? And this podcast, the Star Chaser Central podcast, is the perfect platform because you and I know we've been fans for a long time. And I didn't really think of it like this. There's an episode where you called me the historian, right? And I'm like, man, I really have been here for a long time. There's so many fans that don't know the history of some of these like classic tapes. And even if they're not like a '08, '09 tape, just certain background stories where I'm like, oh yeah, we used to talk about that in the Facebook group all the time. And we have our little Twitter group, and I'm like, wow, y'all don't know about this, y'all don't know about that, y'all weren't here for this. It's like, man, so I feel that we have this platform, and I had to do my due diligence to make sure Charles shines in the brightest light possible. And I just like I said, I want to make sure he gets his flowers. I think that's the most important thing.
Not to divulge too much into it, but we had, I had a cool conversation with Charles, behind the scenes or whatever. And that was kind of the one thing I told him, like, the podcast is meant to give a positive light into his career and his life or whatever. Because, like you said, too often we had that situation where it's like one of 3 or 4 things got brought up, and that was his image or whatever you want to call it. Um, and he's so much more than that. He's more complex than that. There's more to his story that I feel like not everybody knows. And so, yeah, this was both the way to do it, but also the right time, I guess. I feel like the stars, pun intended, just aligned perfectly um, for this to happen. So I can't be more, like I said, I can't be more happier than the way that the community has kind of stepped up and kind of like listen and just check this out and kind of shared it around. So that's the cool thing about it.
I agree, same sentiments. I'm really happy of the responses we got from everybody, from the fans saying, "Oh man, like finally someone is making content about Charles." And I never thought of it like I thought of it like that. Of course, me and you and a couple of other people, we listen to Charles's music. We hold him on a pedestal because of how great his artistry is. But I just never thought of it like that. But there's the new fans, there's the classic fans. We've had some people. Oh, you guys are starting Stars Chaser Central back. The old group's back, or what's going on with this? What's this? And then not only that, Charles has talked about us on his blog. He's gave us shout outs on his YouTube when he's doing his lives and whatnot. That means a lot because at any time Charles could have been like, I don't know about this. I'd rather you guys not do it. And it's like, you know what? Respectfully, we won't. But it's been so much love from everybody that it just makes you feel good, honestly, man.
Yeah. Now you had mentioned this being your first podcast, like no experience at all. How is things how would you grade yourself, I guess, number one, and two, how have things been, I guess, in your first 10 episodes?
Okay. If we were doing first 10 and then, cumulative, put everything together, also grade up, like do the curve,
Yeah.
when you're not doing great, great grading, do the curve. I give myself a C plus. I give
Okay.
myself a C plus just because, like you said, no experience. The closest thing I've had to experience is like on social media. I'm used to making my videos, whether they're funny videos, me ranting about my day, whatever the case is. So there's where my experience would be at. So I'm used to being on social media, and I'm used to talking in front of a camera. That's no big deal for me. I'm used to being, I don't even want to say like an entertainer. I mean, it is entertaining for people, but
Mhm.
when it comes down to sitting down and talking for 45 minutes to an hour, when we did your episode for Clueless Vino, it was cool because it was like, hey, it kind of just felt like it wasn't a podcast. It was just as friends, we're just talking because
Mhm.
you and everyone else is getting to know me. But in this situation, we're talking about Charles every episode, every project. So that's where it became a little difficult. Not because I don't know anything about Charles and his life and his music. It's more about the approach I tried to take. The first few episodes, oh, I know this tape. front and back of my hand. I could talk about this all day, every day. When we
Mhm,
start getting the other tapes, I'm like, all right, this is, I'm starting to forget some names. What beat is this? What's that? And
mhm,
I'm being transparent with y'all. I'm like, ah, man, like I started feeling bad about myself because I'm like, with you having your own podcast and me not having any podcast experience at all, I'm like, I feel like I'm dragging down the product. I would hate for it to be like, yeah, the Star Chaser Central podcast could be good, but that guy Mike, man, he ruins it. He's too this, he's too that. I'm like, nah, I want to make sure I'm doing it justice just as much as you are. So for me, slowly but surely, I'm getting better. There's always room for improvement. I started last maybe after the third episode, I think I started taking notes down because there's certain songs I know, but I'm like, sometimes my thoughts go everywhere. So I'm like, you know what? Let me take some notes down just so I have something to kind of stick by and stand to and just keep going that way. And also, I talked about this before. I shouldn't say it, but a lot of times when I'd be like, and I notice it when I hear back the episodes because I listen to every episode we do. I go back and listen to every episode. I'm like, ow, uh, oh, man, terrible. Some people don't notice it. I do. Maybe that's just me being too critical of myself, but
mhm.
still, I want to make sure I'm giving you guys the best product. I'm happy how things are going. Like I said, there's room for improvement, and I just can't wait for the next episode and the next time for me to get better and improve and just show what I can do with this podcasting thing. So for you, you have three. Technically, you're on the third one now. How is this for you? Because even though you have the experience, all three podcasts are completely different. How's that for you?
Well, first, I'd like to just I wanna give you your flowers. I think you're doing a phenomenal job. I think,
Thank you.
your major value that I think just for this podcast, as far as in concern with me, like what I can do, is you're like way better at social media than me. Like as far as like doing, you do all the videos, as far as the social media videos, all the shorts and all the TikToks and stuff like that. I'm not good at those, bro. I'm just it's like it's cool. I can do them like if I have to, like in a pinch. I've done them for other stuff, but I think you do it way better than I could, and we've seen over the last 2 to 3 weeks probably, um, we're seeing, like, numbers as far as the shorts goes, like, it's steadily climbing, and people are, you know, they're reacting to it, and that's kinda what we want, and so, like, I can't thank you enough for that part of your skill set that kinda helps me or whatever.
Right.
Um But yeah, it is different as far as, like, how I've done things with the last 2 podcasts. Cluesvino is more still conversational, but it's like it's more about me learning about the guests while having, like, a glass of wine, like, we review the wine kinda, but it's more about the conversation with the guests, so I'm really kind of very interviewee, I guess, but more conversational. So that's one set. Then there's 2 tall boys where me and Keem go back and forth, and that's just banter, like, it's we're still chatting, but it's like overall the world, different things that are happening in the world, akin to some of the podcasts that people listen to, um, that are way more bigger than us. Pause. Uh, but this one's interesting because it's a niche podcast, and that was kind of my fear is that there's absolutely like a cap. It's not a hard cap, but it's definitely a soft cap as far as how far it can go or what's the audience level, right? Because you'd have to
Yeah.
know Charles Hamilton or what to get to know Charles Hamilton, and you'd have to be willing to be open to new experiences or new information, new music, stuff like that. Um, so I've gone into it where it's almost like a quiz or like a test every week. Back in the day, like with schools, like, all right, we're doing this week. I'm gonna listen to it. What kind of notes can I take? What kind of what am I gonna bring to the table? So that's been the most interesting part about it. It's just kind of because what I try to do is I try to bring like the analytical or comprehensive type of questions that we can ask, right? Like
Right.
kind of break down, let's see what kind of interpretation we can get. And that's why I kind of want to bring to it because it is about Charles's music, but his music is kind of a doorway or like a gateway to bigger conversations. And that's kind of what I want to bring to the podcast every week.
I like that thought process because especially when I'm doing the shorts or the TikToks, it's a lot of times where I'm like, hey, we're reviewing this, we are reviewing this project or this song, whatever the case is, there is a bigger message that, you might not see it if you don't listen to the project, but I
Mhm,
can highlight it in a video and be like, hey, this project is about this subject. How
mhm.
do you guys feel about love? How do you guys feel about loneliness? How do you feel about homelessness, abandonment, marriage, whatever the case is? It's like there's so many topics that we can talk about. And of course, it's very niche with Charles and his music. But like you said, it's a gateway. I won't say gateway drug, but it's a gateway to something, better and more important topic that some people could say, hey, I don't know Charles, but this is how I feel about this is my 2 cents about the situation.
The way we kinda have good conversation back and forth, we're both similar in kind of like our thoughts on stuff, but we do have enough differences where, you know, your music style or what you like to hear is different from mine, right? And so
Yeah.
we have a lot of episodes where like you'll say, "Oh, this is my favorite song," and you'll hear me go, "Oh, all right," because I am kind of shocked, like a little bit.
Yeah.
And then like I'll say like, I really wasn't feeling this one." Then like we can have that back and forth. So it's good to kind of have like, how do I put it? I feel like sometimes we can revert back. Some fan bases are obsessive
Yeah.
and think that nothing that their favorites can do are wrong, right? And listen, that's not healthy, I don't think. So
Right.
I feel like we're both kind of level headed and we can kind of like, look at things objectively, but while also looking objectively, not just be like, oh, this is trash, right? Like
Right.
we're a little bit better and more versed in how to explain something than the other type of fans.
That's the key point. We are fans, we're not stands.
Mhm.
Now we've been listening for a long time. At the same time, though, neither of us, neither me or you, have went to Charles or typed something. I'm not gonna say, you know, this is garbage. This sucks. This is
Right.
I've never said that to Charles. You've never said it either. You could easily just be like, hey, it's not for me or whatever the
Mhm.
case is. But we're not stands. Also, we're not disrespectful. I think the most interesting thing about this podcast, other than us doing it and knowing so much about the music, is that me and you have came together to do this podcast. We've been friends on Twitter for how long, but have never met in person ever. So if anything, this could have gone left easily. It's like, there's no there's no baggage technically where it's like, oh, if me and Stik stop being friends, man, this is going to affect this and that. It's like technically we don't even live in the same state, so it wouldn't matter. It's kind of like just he could cross me off. I could just cut him off, and it's like, oh, whatever. It is what
Yeah.
it is. Our lives would not be any different, but at the same time, we're able to get along and gel so well on a topic that we know well, but we don't know each other at all and never met once. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like we through the podcast, honestly, I feel like we know each other's personality kinda a little bit better, and I know when to be like, "Hey, maybe you handle this one," because I don't think Imma do well with this type of, interaction or whatever, and then vice versa. It's just, again, I think we had our 2 personalities just working perfectly. What would you say is the most surprising thing so far of the podcast?
Most surprising, it's going to sound cheesy, but just people just checking in. I,
Mhm,
I think for me, like, I figured people would check in for the first episode during the Pink Lava Lamp because I know we
mhm,
talked about it. I'm like, we got to do the Pink Lava Lamp as the first one. Like,
mhm.
it'd be blasphemous if we didn't.
Yeah,
But it's just the fact that people actually latched on and listened and heard and watched. That's still my thing. And not only that, we still have people that are still listening. That's
mhm,
like I said, I know it's cheesy, but at any time people could just drop off and be like, that was cool. That was a cool little moment,
mhm,
because I think that most videos I do see about Charles that aren't from fans, when they're doing like I don't want to say biography, it usually says, oh yeah, Charles did this and that, and that's it. And it's like, nice video, but I could have told you all that. I could
mhm.
have told you that. No disrespect to the people that make those videos, but it's just I'm just surprised that people are still listening and checking in and still want to be involved because even though we're doing this podcast, you guys, Star Chasers, along with us, you are as important as we are making these videos, because if you don't listen, there's no audience, and
Yeah.
there's no point of actually doing it. It kind of just makes us feel like, what, maybe there isn't an audience. Maybe we thought there was, but maybe that boat has came and gone. But what we realized, it's a lot more people that listen to Charles than we think. And even though we're the old school fans, there's a lot more people that have latched on to Charles after Interscope,
Hmm.
after maybe Republic and whatnot.
Hmm.
So there's people that aren't really familiar with his mainstream songs. They're more with the underground. So that's what's really impressed me and surprised me. Just the people latching on, and then the people naming certain songs that you and I don't really know. I'm like, I've heard of that project. I've never listened to it. Maybe I
Hmm.
need to check that out.
Yeah,
What about you?
I think that's the main thing for me is like people are really gravitating and want us to listen to some of the newer stuff, some of the um more recent within the last 5 to 8 years, we'll say, right?
Yeah.
Maybe post Republic, right? Um, yeah, because I feel like I've seen like, yeah, I want you to review this one and this one. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know like this was because you would think that based off interactions on the internet and how people bring up Charles Hampton, it's always, Brooklyn girls. So clearly you're stuck in an era. This is your era, which is fine. I think that's obviously my favorite era too. I would say '08 to 2010-ish, 11 is probably my favorite era, but doesn't mean I don't like the 2012 to 2015 to 2015 or whatever. Um, but yeah, we are seeing a lot of people being like, yeah, they because people really like the chronometry review. I didn't realize they would be so um impactful, I guess. Um, and I think afterwards we have another one that's coming out next year, early next year, that I think people are gonna like too. And I feel like we should try to get more of those involved as well. But like I said, it's about balance. So we're trying to do a balance of like every era as we can. But yeah, that I think that's the biggest surprise that people are really liking the reviews on the later stuff.
Yeah, totally agree. My thing that, so you because at least for me and you, like the older fans, we could say, "Oh, I heard of Charles because of this and that." Like I told you, my first time hearing Charles was the Millie freestyle. Well,
Mm,
not a musician. You could have been like, "Oh, I heard him on this song, this tape. I heard this tape that came out. I seen him with the freestyle with Game and Kanye West."
mm,
I bet you there's some people that don't even know that he did a freestyle with Game and Kanye West. Yeah,
mhm.
look it up. It's on the internet.
Yep.
But it's with other people that have came in past that point. Let's say past Interscope, past Republic.
Mhm.
Part of me is just like, not in a bad way, but like, how did you stumble across his music? Because at that point, there's no marketing. Like, did you hear from a friend? Was you randomly just scrolling on YouTube or something like that, and you just found it? So that's what's really peculiar to me, and I just like to know. And it's just interesting because you never know where you're going to get fans from, and that's why you should always stick to your guns and do what you want to do. Because let's say if Charles kept making commercial music that he didn't like, some of those people wouldn't be there. But sounds like everybody else.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, that's also why we like Charles is that he does what kind he moves by his own drum is I guess is kind of the phrase. Um 2024, man. We're going into this next year. We got a lot of ideas on the table, kind of what we want to do. Uh let's kind of talk about what people can expect for Star Station Central next year.
So, like we talked about before, you can expect obviously more videos, more reviews. We always want to keep the reviews coming as long as we're staying on schedule. Try to do that like once a week. Like I said, from my standpoint, I'll try to keep making sure I make the videos for TikTok and YouTube. Let me say this real quick. I know I've told some of you guys before, or we've told you on the Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube if you're not already. Subscribe to the TikTok. Sorry, subscribe to the TikTok if you're not already. Just because we had a little situation previously where on Twitter, I'm not calling it X. I had to say it. Sorry, it's in the contract. But we had a situation where I was trying to make my little series that's who did Charles Hamilton sample, because Charles has sampled everyone under the sun.
Mhm.
But I can make those little quick clips. Just be like, hey, are you guys familiar with this song that Charles did? Did you know it came from this song? That's a sample of this song. And it's so genius how he samples stuff. But I can't really put that type of stuff on Twitter because sometimes it gets taken down and or we get shadow banned. So that's why I'm telling you guys not to, get on your case about it. Please, if you want to see those videos, it's on YouTube. It'll be on TikTok as well. But we're gonna have the reviews. We're gonna have little clips and bits that we can have on there. Another thing, because you guys have asked about this since the beginning, it has to be a work in progress. We're in our 10th episode, so we kind of got to hang on things. But something that we've been working on is trying to have some guests on the show, some guest spots, some guest appearances.
Mhm.
I know, like I said, still, in a work in progress because my thing is this. Stik does the recording, so I'm not sure how we're going to have a third person on here, but we want to make sure that you guys feel that you're still a part of the show. Even though you are just listening to us, we want to make sure you guys feel like, hey, my opinion matters. The tape I like matters. This is why I like the tape. This is how I feel about the tape.
Mhm.
So it's more everything. I personally want to say more everything, bigger, better, faster, stronger, whatever. I'm going to say the other word because that's going to be a pause. So you know how it
Exactly.
goes.
Yeah, like I said, the guest spots is something that again, it was already on the table, from when we first started talking about the podcast. It's just about finding the right way to do it. Um, that's gonna be one flexible for everybody involved, mainly me and Mike, just because of our schedules. And two, we kind of want to have like a what's the word I'm looking for? We need to make sure everybody understands what type of energy we're on. You know,
Right.
um, I feel like let's see, who would be good cop and bad cop out of both of us?
Oh, we know who the bad cop is. It's me. It's always going to be me.
It's
I promise.
me.
It's a me, Amari. No, I have no problem being
Right.
the bad cop in the
Yeah.
situation
Yes.
because I'll tell this quick story. So, guys, I remember one time. I'll say it like this: I spoke about Fight Club, and y'all know the number one rule in Fight Club.
Right.
Spoke about Fight Club in Fight Club, and Charles called me a dickhead, and I was just like, "What the hell did I do?" And then everyone else blamed me. And I'm like, "Okay, I get it, rightfully so."
Mhm.
So I have no problem not starting a problem, but I have no problem talking about a situation or any type of conflict or confrontation. So
Mhm.
if I have to tell someone like, "Hey man, chill, don't mind that." If you guys get mad or upset, I do apologize in advance, but we're trying to keep the energy positive, lighthearted, great. I'll say we don't want this to become another old school Star Chaser Central
Mhm.
or like a fight amongst just people that the fight doesn't need to be about.
Mhm.
We don't need any fights, any drama, any negativity. We just don't need that. No hateration in this dancery, as Mary
Right.
J said.
No, no hateration in the dancery. Yeah. So, and although I am quote unquote the good cop, which that's not a good thing at all. If I have to be the good cop, it's not great. But I will let you know, as somebody who's done this for a while, I just won't put the episode out. So my thing is, it's just all about the energy, bro. As long as we have positive energy, that's all we want to put out. Positive light, positive energy, Star Chaser energy, and we'll be good. And I feel like with our fan base so far, we're not gonna have no problems. Everybody's been really cool so far.
Agree. Totally
Um,
agree.
but yeah, other than that, like episodes that I kind of want to do, like I said, we definitely want to do like a Lucy episode where we just kind of talk about some of my favorite Lucy singles that never had a project home or didn't originate at on a project, you know. So kind of that. March Madness, I'd love to do some type of tournament of I don't know verses, tapes, songs. I don't know. We can kind of figure that out as we go along. Um, I kind of want to do I want to do like little S tier ranking type stuff, like little ranking tier ranking stuff. I would love to actually rank all Charles Hamilton albums. I'd love to do that. Now we would have to kind of figure out which ones we're doing and then do it from there. But like 10-1, that'd be pretty cool. Um, first breakdown, stuff like that. Ultimate goal is always to have Charles on here. That'd be really cool to do. And I feel like we could probably make that happen if we kind of, work our way up to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to do some fun stuff next year.
All solid ideas, all great ideas. I have no issues with any of them. Of course, the Lucy's, it's like, hey, there's certain songs that weren't on any project, and it's like, how do we talk about that? Because
Mm,
we can't just make a whole hour episode about like one song,
mm,
and we're not going to do like a 5 minute episode about one song, so we could put those together. Just all great ideas that I love. Also, of course, that would be great to have Charles on here. Of course, he listens and he checks out, so that makes it really great. So it'd be interesting to see how he would react being on the podcast as well. I think since we're talking about Charles, we talked about what the Star Chasers can expect from us. What would you like to see from Charles in 2024? Because of course, Charles has never stopped making music. He's
mm,
always trying to push the envelope and change how music is, whether it's genre, maybe it's a different freestyle or writing in his head. What would
mm.
you like to see from?
You know, Charles is coming out with I don't even know what to even call it next year, but he's been, tweeting and kind of posting about on the blog his next era, which is kind of the King Charles era. Next year he's supposed to be dropping a song a month for 2024. As part of the King Charles, that's what he will be referred to as going forward, King Charles. Um, and I I will just let people know I did get a little sneak peek of one song, and it sounds good, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here in front. It sounds really good. The hook is actually amazing on the song that I heard. So it's gonna be an interesting year. I feel like as well. I don't know if it's gonna be possible, but I'm just putting this energy out into the cosmos. I feel like if Charles wants to, I feel like he can produce on somebody's album next year, like somebody like big. Like, what I'm saying? If he gets the right opportunity, getting right with the right touch with the right people, I feel like that's his production skills are like top notch, like better than a lot of this repetitive stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
No shots to those people, but I just hear the same thing over and over and over again, and his stuff is kind of fresh still. So I feel like that's what I want to see. I want to see him on a producer credit on like a on an artist that I really like. That's kind of what I want to see.
for me, I would say obviously mental health number one is
Mhm.
is most important. I don't want. I never really thought about it back then, but I guess a lot of us took it for granted. Charles being in the studio 24/7 and just making songs after songs, project after project. And then I think with him, he's had a better balance of it now where we realize it's not healthy. I know you got a lot of stuff you want to say on these songs, but it's like, hey, make sure your mental health is good. If you need to take a break, take a break.
Mhm.
Do whatever you need to do. Come back to the music because it's always going to be there. So one, make sure that his mental is right. Two, when it comes to the music, just keep giving everyone what they're asking for. Like when I was in the live last week, he was taking requests like, "Hey, what would y'all want to hear me, not rap on technically, but like beat wise. Like I'll
Mhm.
sample whatever you want, just give me an idea and I'll sample it." So when it comes to that, whether it's writing the music, making a beat, keep giving people what they're asking for. Because I think at this point now, anyone that's still here means that they actually care and they're still around for a reason. Compared to other people, it's like, oh no, go back to this, go back to that. It's like you don't have to worry about those people anymore. They've been gone for for
Mhm.
some for some time now.
Yeah.
So mental health, keep making music, just the music that you want to make that feels right to you. And I would say, last but not least, I would probably say I know it's not as possible now,
Mhm.
but something that would be great, like probably future down the road. Maybe if we got like more music videos. I know he used to do like more home videos before, where
Mhm.
like but that's the only, I guess, knock you could say on Charles, because he has a lot of music, few music videos,
Right, yeah.
like especially that he's done himself. I would love to see like maybe more music videos, even if we got someone like Marcus Hamilvision to do something like that again.
Mhm.
That'd be awesome to see, because the visual sometimes there's no visual, so you just get the audio, and it's like, man, that'd be great if we had like some type of visual and whatnot. So
Yeah.
uh, as long as Charles stays true to himself, that's all I can ask for, man. Because I don't want him out here just making music he doesn't want to make. Like, I wouldn't want him signing another deal if he wasn't happy with the production or the music that they're asking him to make. I don't want him doing that again. There's no point of being on a label if it's like, well, now they got me making this, and I can't talk about this, and I can't talk about that. It's like, I don't want that. If he's not happy doing it, I don't want him doing it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, and I'm sure and I know Charles has, like, bigger plans of, like, what he wants to do, as an ultimate goal, and I hope that he continues to grind and take further steps towards that goal. So, yeah, I'm just excited about what's to come for, Charles and Salt Central in general, man.
Me too, man. It's just we're already 10 episodes in. Hopefully, by the time this episode airs, we'll be at 50, because I know we've been slowly but surely reaching 50 subscribers, but we're right there. So if we're at 50, who knows how far we can take this? I know we talked about this being a niche podcast, but hey, man, you never know. You never know.
Yeah. 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 That I feel like we'll also do something really cool next year. Something I don't know. I don't know. We might get like a random placement somewhere or something like that, or maybe we'll look into. I don't know. I know there's like indie podcast awards and stuff like that. We'll try to look into it and see kind of what we can shake up. But if it doesn't, I'm just very proud of what we've done so far and like what we'll continue to do moving into next year. Because yeah, this has been a pleasurable experience thus far.
Yeah, I'm along for the ride until the wheels fall off. Like, I've been through worse personally, as a fan. We've heard the same old. Oh, you like Charles Hamilton? You like that guy? Oh, you're the, So it back then it was a lot harder trying to tell people and explain his greatness, but now
Mhm.
we have this platform where we could do that freely and show people exactly what we're talking about, instead of it being like, okay, I guess, whatever.
Yeah,
Like the negativity, they could keep that over there. We'll stay right here. And even if we just get a random shout out from, I don't know, just anybody that does podcasts, like, oh yeah, this Charles Hampton podcast, the Star Chaser Central podcast, I heard an episode or two, pretty cool. Like stuff like that. That warms my heart. Like, it doesn't even have to be oh man, we'll give you $5 million. I'd love $5 million, but
right, right.
just even getting a shout out for me at this point, it's like, hey, first podcast, just doing something that we love to do. It's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, just want to check in with you guys, man, and kind of, give y'all an update of what we're doing, what we can expect, and how the Star States Essential is going. And you guys have been a big part of that. You guys have definitely helped us, you know, kept us moving forward and we're excited to bring you more content, more videos, more views, more everything. You know what it is, Charles Hamilton, music moments and everything in between. That's just what we do. You can follow us, as Mike had alluded to earlier, on our TikTok, Star Trek Central Podcast, on Twitter, Star CH Central, and is that all we have? Oh, YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube. We would love to get to 50 before 2024. So if you've not subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe. We're also on all DSPs. Be sure to leave a 5-star rating on there. That would be appreciative, of course. Helps with the algorithms to maybe get that out to other podcasts and other people who love podcasts. You can also follow us on our individual pages. I'm at Stick Around 54. STIK around 54 on Instagram. I might actually change it next year on Twitter as well to that. We'll see. But for now on Instagram, Stick Around 54, SDIK around 54. Mike, you are at where, buddy?
Before I tell you where I'm at, I think it's a little funny. I forget what episode it was on Two Tall Boys. You would get on Keem all the time. Man, changer, why don't you make your. Sorry, I had to bring it up. Sorry.
All
Pet
right, to
peeve.
be fair, wait, to be fair, he has the exact same problem that you have, where you have very similar what you call it, very similar handles on
Yeah,
two different accounts, and I'm like, just make them together. I know why you can't do yours because you made a
yeah,
horrible mistake that you can't revert back from. He doesn't have that problem.
exactly. But, neither here or there. But where you can find me at on Instagram, the Mike Jackson, Mike Jackson. On Twitter, I already said it, but on Twitter, Mike D Jackson, Mike D Jackson, 1D, 2 E's.
Uh, but as always, man, be sure to let us know what you want to hear. We are putting together a list of potential guests. It would be very helpful if you want to be sure to just give us like one or two of your favorite tapes. That way we can kind of keep those off the schedule to review until we're ready to do guests. So if you haven't, hit up Mike or myself, let us know your favorite one or two tapes, and we'll kind of just stash those to the side. Um, yeah, any ideas for the March Madness tournament? Let us know what you would like to see. And any episode ideas that y'all want to see, let us know. But other than that, man, I appreciate you. Thank you for being my partner in crime for this. We're signing out of the Star Station Central podcast, man, where we always encourage you to follow your dreams.
And reach for the stars.
We're not going to tell people how many times we had to do that.
Nope, not at all.
Peace.